and a very warm welcome to the market roundup for the week here at Master the Markets. This is the 1st of June 2018. It's jobs day, non-farm payroll on the FX markets just here. And we have an update for you on the various trading rooms. Very minimal amount of activity this week, basically because the market is persisting by way of trend. You can see that the trends have just persisted. We haven't really had much. This week, dollar Swiss is there pulling back. The euro dollar is still going strong up until the last 3 days. We haven't had much of an opportunity to get involved in the past week. And we have had opportunities throughout this phase to be able to take various trading opportunities, but nothing actually looking at this particular week on the live trade on the Vedanta Elite trading rooms. So of course, as you know here by now already, we do have two trading rooms at Master the Markets. The first one being the Vedanta Elite trading room, and then of course secondly the live trade mentorship, live mentorship advanced trading in the live trading room. Just the one trade really here on the Aussie dollar this week on the lift-off strategy. Let's go over to the lift-off profile. We can assess the Aussie US dollar on lift-off 2.0, and you can see here very difficult turning point to catch really in the market. The Aussie dollar has been particularly difficult, but one thing the lift-off strategy does and really specializes in is capping the downside, capping the losses. So what we have just here, you can see, is a primary that has set itself up as a lift-off opportunity. So we actually entered the market on this particular bar here on the close, and of course, as those of you who will know that have already attended the 2-day Traders Basecamp workshop, one of which taking place actually next week, 9th and 10th of June, you'll know that on the lift-off strategy, we do actually look for the primary bar to enter the opportunity on lift-off strategy, and we're looking to enter that, and we also put our stop loss just here in above the high, and that was obviously done the end of last week. So we were looking to hold this trade short, and you can see we did hold the trade short. This market did hover a little bit. We had what we call a reversal primary setup, so we were taken out of the market here for a 0.5% loss. You can see here 23 pips of downside and a 0.5% loss there on the Aussie dollar. But if you look at then what happened following that, so we entered the market, of course, on this seller bar just here, the reversal primary just here on this buyer bar. And there you can see that the market did clip us out the following day, and then proceeded to head lower, and then all the way came back, aggressive buyer bar, which also then created another reversal primary, of which, of course, we would have been out of the market regardless. So it's been, it's created a turning point. It has confirmed the swing high. You can see that here on the Aussie dollar. But to catch the downward move on a swing trade like what liftoff is orientated towards, you can see would have been very, very difficult indeed. So there's not much we can do with this kind of movement here in the market. You can see it is accumulating, and there is a chance that this accumulation may be a longer term turning point really here in the market. If you switch over to the weekly chart, you'll see that this weekly already has a primary broken the IB -1 high just here. So you can see here's your IB on the weekly chart. This is your IB -1. And you can see that last week did break the high of IB -1. So there's a very strong chance now at this stage with this first primary that the weekly could turn and become a turning point. And there's also obviously a chance, if we've studied the open equity, that we may see a longer term move here to the upside on this Aussie dollar. So this may account for why there is accumulation like this at this time on the Aussie dollar. So be on the lookout for that. But of course, according to the use this information in line with the trading model that you already have. It's not obviously advice. Everything that we're doing here is based strictly around the educational side of things, and obviously we're commentating on specific trades that we're taking ourselves, and by no means should be misconstrued as advice. So that was the trade on the Aussie dollar just there. Not really too much to report in on this week on Master the Market in live trades. As you know, we do cherry pick the very best quality opportunities here using these trading models that we're running. Of course, on the live trade mentorship, we have the Liftoff 3.0, the Money Bars 2.0, and the Cash In 3.0, which is being introduced in very shortly. That has already been run in beta as well. And then, of course, when we go into the Lombard Elite Trading Room, your 4 trading models already running successfully there, which of course are the Swing Profits, the Prime Profits, Gold Bars, and Smart Money. So these are the trading models we are running. So across these 7 trading models, only 1 trade into this week, and so we're pretty sure that just like anything, it's just about being patient and waiting for the very best quality opportunities to come along. And regardless of how many trades we take, whether they're a profit or loss, we always report in on the market roundup, which is run on Fridays, which you can see today is my market roundup, reporting in that it was just 1 trade. And of course, we're doing everything here transparently, so they're all logged not only on video, as we call live, but also on transparent account statements as well. Let's go over to the topic of the week, and I want to analyze a Bitcoin chart, something a little bit different. And so a couple of things I want to point out really on the Bitcoin chart. 2 things specifically on the Bitcoin chart that has caught my attention. A lot of you have been talking about getting involved with Bitcoin. I think there's some of you that want to invest longer term as well. We have had a couple of conversations with people who have mentioned these things, and obviously we can't provide investment advice or not authorized to do that, but what we can do is do a technical analysis of the chart by our understanding of these profitable trading models that we are already running. So let's look at this. I mean, if you look carefully at the Bitcoin chart, you'll see that it doesn't carry as much liquidity as obviously the major currencies. At this time, Bitcoin is still relatively unliquid, and as a result of that, you can see that there are gaps across the chart. Now, if you look, generally speaking, in currency trading, gaps will get filled more than 90% of the time statistically. And we're seeing pretty much something quite similar here on the Bitcoin chart as well. Every time there seems to be a gap, it looks like it's being filled. So I'm sure that this will meet a similar set of statistics. If you look carefully here, for example, you've got a small gap here on Bitcoin. You can see that the price has gapped up, and then again 2 days later has gone on to close that gap. Again, if you look here at this particular gap here, the price gapped up on after the weekend, and you can see then as a result, several weeks later, the market then went on to close that gap as well, just here on this seller bar. And again, another gap formed, which was closed, and again here, and finally again here. So what does that mean? Why am I bringing that up? Well, there is a gap here that is yet to be filled, and that is actually all the way down here. If you look carefully at the close price on this particular day, the close is 6559, and the following day, the market actually went lower to 6567. So by actually $8, you can see this gap wasn't filled. So why do I point that out? Because as you can see at the moment, where we are on the Bitcoin chart daily, in the current phase, you've got 1 failed primary that's here already. As you know, we assess things in terms of the EC methodology. Again, if you want to find out more about that, the right place to be is the Live Trade Mentorship, Live Trade Mentorship Advanced coaching programs here at Master the Markets, where we talk about how market makers will look to bluff and without revealing their actual hand, and how we can take advantage of that as well, and then capitalize and monetize that. And we call those ECs. And so one of the ECs here is this primary here that's failed, and you can see that what we have then is a single failed primary on this particular phase, and we've got another primary now that's set up here on the Bitcoin as well. So if that fails as well, it will. If this low is broken here, then that primary will also fail as well. There is a chance we may see this gap being filled as well. So be on the lookout for that. I think it's pretty interesting. And if anyone's looking into potentially investing longer term in something like this, I find these levels pretty fascinating. So Bitcoin is something that personally we have been looking at here in the business as a potential long-term investment. It's quite an interesting one. It looks as though the great thing about Bitcoin is, of course, the limited amount of supply that there is. So, of course, we will take that into account as we understand and look at these charts in detail. So, an interesting one to analyze and assess. Do keep a watch on the Bitcoin chart. I'm finding it pretty interesting. If it breaks this low, as said, there is a chance that we could see this gap being filled just here. And that would, of course, represent the second lowest prices for the year as well, with the lowest price, of course, on Bitcoin being on the 6th of February, where the market reached a low of $5,877. So these are all interesting levels to look out for. Of course, anyone that didn't get into the Bitcoin move early on when it was just a couple of $100 may be looking for some buy signals around now. And I'm sure that other cryptocurrencies will also follow similar trends as well. As they are, of course, all based on technology. Bitcoin, of course, is a derivation of blockchain technology, built on blockchain technology. So as these technologies do obviously have their ups and downs, they can present different opportunities via investment. So again, if that's something that you're interested in learning more about, Traders Basecamp is a great place to be. We have various sections in the Traders Basecamp manual on the blockchain and Bitcoin cryptocurrencies. So a great thing to understand and learn. Even if it's more just for your understanding, I would highly recommend getting clued up on that financial education. So these are the things to look out for this week. We will, of course, provide another update at the end of next week. For Friday, we'll look for a little bit more action. It does look at this time as though we do have a couple of setups taking place already. Here you can see liftoff setup is potentially taking place here on the dollar Swiss. Needs a little bit more analysis. Same thing here as well on dollar yen. We're looking to potentially get involved with liftoff trade into the early part of next week based on current price action pattern as well. So do be on the lookout for these. And we will look forward to providing you with a more in-depth analysis, of course, in the live trading rooms, and then a roundup next week, Friday. Until the next time, stay disciplined, follow your plan, and trade like a master. Bye for now.